Hey, welcome back. We are going to discuss fish. So obviously, a dam, you would assume, makes some difficulty for fish, but you guys do quite a bit to aid them, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, fish is a big part of the Northwest. Everybody that has grown up here, lives here, visits here, understands that. And part of building the dam was helping the fish still get to where they needed to be. We did that structurally by building two fish ladders, one on the north side, on the Washington side, and then what we call the east side, but it's really on the Oregon side, the one you can see from the interstate.
Okay.
Those help mitigate getting fish up. And how those really work is when a migrating fish coming back from the oceans coming up, they're able to swim up those ladders and get to the other side of the dam to keep them going upriver or to wherever they need to go to spawn. They can do that in a couple of ways in the ladder. If you ever get a chance to go out and look, they can either hop what we call the weirs, which is kind of a rapids. It's kind of like a natural rapid.
Oh, okay.
Or they can swim through what they call orifice holes on the bottom, where they just swim through. A little easier, probably not as fun for the fish. But yeah, the core is heavily involved in fish migration, and it is a big part of what the core does and what happens at the Dalles Dam.
Yeah, you mentioned during the break, power, obviously a big deal for the dam, but fish is almost right up there with it as far as importance.
Yeah, fish gets a lot of attention. Power may be what everybody really knows, but every decision that goes into what gets built to the dam, how power is generated, those kind of things, how we're going to spill water, is all circles around fish. Fish has a main player in it. That people always ask, well, what's more important, fish or power? Mm-hmm. Well, to us, they're equally as important, if not more fish-wise. But as far as what people need, they need the electricity. So power does trump it a little bit. Like a few years ago, if river levels were low, we needed power, then power took a little bit of a step ahead fish. But fish is a big player. I mean, it has to do with a lot of people's livelihood. Either recreation or commercially.
Yeah. Well, on the reservoir side of the dam, all those little glistening things that are out there, is that because that's where I don't even know what they are. They're just like strings of wire with like little silvery ribbons.
Yeah.
Is that where like all the fish are coming out, and that's to keep the birds away?
Exactly.
Is that what it's for?
Yeah, the one thing that we have to do at the Dalles Dam, and one thing we do, is the getting safely through the dam and downriver and into where they need to be. And one of the things we do while we're spilling is when the fish come through, sometimes they're a little confused of where they're going to go until they find the channel and they can head down. And at that moment, they're kind of vulnerable for birds. And one of the things we do is what they call avian lines. And those are like the little streamers that you see going out there.
Okay.
And those help keep birds from going down and picking off the little salmon before they're going back down the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that huge spillway looking thing that's kind of on the side as you're, I guess you'd be on the south side of the dam?
Yeah,
there's not fish going through that.
No, what that is it's a wall is really what it is.
Okay.
And what it does is, as we're spilling water, like right now is a perfect time in the spring, we're spilling about 40% of our water that's going through the dam goes over the spillway. And it's helping fish migrate and the salmon that are coming down, the salmon smolts that are coming down. And what that wall does is keep them in the channel, in the deep part of the water where they have a better survival rate. And previously, before the wall, when we spilled, if you ever looked out how the spill actually went, it kind of just scattered out there in the tail race, so what we call the tail race. And those rocks that sometimes you see people out there fishing for, that what they're doing is pike minnow fishing for the bounty that BPA puts on pike minnow fishing. And they get paid to fish, really, if they catch enough. But
is that because they threaten the salmon?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And the pike minnow like to hide in those rocks, and other predatory fish like bass and things like that to salmon. And so what that wall does is keep them in that deeper water off the rocks. Okay. This is the first year in operation that it's been completed, so we're doing some testing to see how well it works. But just visually looking at it, it looks like it's doing what it's supposed to be.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So it's for the salmon again.
Yep.
You guys count all these fish too. And just not salmon, but I mean everything, right? There's somebody literally counting all of the fish that go through the ladders and the locks.
Yeah, exactly right. The Corps has a contract with the state of Washington, and what they do is they provide what they call fish. I mean, what they are is fish counters, and most of the time it's a retired person or someone that just doesn't want to sit at home and wants something to do. So they come out and they actually sit there and count every fish that goes up the fish ladder, and they push buttons. And luckily, technology is caught up, and now they're able to click on a mouse or just push a button. But yeah, they do. And during the heavy fish runs, I mean, it's the window's completely full, and it is a vital part.
And they have to identify
exactly
every type of fish that's
and size. Yeah, they got to know the difference between an adult or a juvenile. It sounds like a great job and it'd be so easy, but really, I mean, it's an important job. Everybody wants the fishermen want to know how many fish are coming over the dam, and without those people counting it, they would never know.
Yeah.
And it helps with how we support the fish program as well. If we know the numbers are coming up and we're seeing better things, we know we're doing something right. If they're declining, maybe we need to look at something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys work a lot with like the tribes, the different tribal folks?
Yeah, the tribes have a voice in a lot of things that we do. Fish is a big thing. I mean, a lot of it is their livelihood. A lot of them do a lot of commercial fishing. So they have a say in a lot of things, either getting on what they call the FPOM meetings, which are the people that decide on pretty much anything fish related that have to do with our dams, how we're going to spill, what kind of programs are we going to do, what kind of research are we going to do. And the tribes have a say in that. They also have a say in locally about things. It doesn't have to be fish. That seems to be the big thing with the tribes, but they also help us with cultural resource stuff because they have a lot of history here, and they want to maintain that history, and we work directly with them to help them keep that history, and they help support us help them.
Right. And those wooden docks that kind of protrude out near the Dalles Bridge, those are still utilized by the tribes?
Yeah, they're fishing scaffolds.
Okay.
It's what they used in the past. And, you look at old photos of Salado Falls or anywhere else up and down the river, and that was a main source of fishing for them. They would do their hoop nets and things off their scaffolds, and they're used all the time now. When the fish are running, you'll see guys out there fishing.
Really?
They're all up and down the river from Bonneville past John Day.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about how fish get through the dam, but also there's a lot of commercial boats that got to get through the dam and recreational boats that got to get through. So we'll discuss the locks when we return. We'll be right back on Localite. We're discussing the Dalles Dam.